One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. These words were spoken during one of mankind's greatest achievements, the moon landing. Most people watch the event live on their televisions, but what about after? The space race was followed beat for beat, but once America won, nobody stayed for the victory lap. NASA sent 5 missions with a total of 10 more astronauts to the moon, including Alan Shepard and Eugene Cernan. But people only remember Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong. It's almost as if space exploration was forgotten. This is perpetuated into today, where the general public isn't even aware of our current advancements in the exploration of space. We're on the verge of the next space race. It's clear from both a scientific and political standpoint. Today, I plan on informing you of the proof of this upcoming race. But in order to do so, we must first look back to our start in space and the politics that went into it. Then shift our focus to a more contemporary state of space exploration, before finally looking forward to the next space race. Much of the information I'll be sharing with you today comes during my time at Advanced Space Academy at the NASA Marshall Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama. In fact, all this early history comes directly from my logbook from this experience. Now, the idea of going to space and the advancements that led to it span far before the Cold War. The first rockets were actually fireworks created by the Chinese in 1232. These rockets were primarily used as weaponry, but from time to time were used for celebratory purposes. The next advancement came in iron-class rockets, or Mycenaean rockets, created in India in 1780. Like the Chinese, the primary purpose of these rockets was for weaponry. The final 2 advancements that led us to the Cold War occurred in the 1920s, with Herman Oberth's idea of a multi-stage rocket and Robert Goddard's successful launch of a liquid-propelled rocket. With all of these prior advancements, it allowed for both the United States and Russia to begin the production of missiles, propelling us into the Cold War. With the production of missiles, it sparked ideas of breaching our atmosphere and reaching the realm of space. Sputnik was strapped to the top of a Russian missile, and it became the first man-made satellite to orbit the Earth. And much of the rest of the space race is fairly well known, with Russia getting many firsts, such as the first man, woman, and dog in space, and America getting the first monkey in space. But what a lot of people don't know is what paralleled this race, being the politics of space. In the space race, the United States and Russia were the 2 opposing forces, but when it came to politics, the United Kingdom stepped in as a neutral third party. The resulting decisions of their political meetings was the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. This treaty was the basic outline for how space should be handled on an international stage. The interesting thing about this treaty was that it was really vague. The reason being was at the time these countries weren't fully aware of how far their breach of space could actually extend. But they wanted to solidify at the time that space was not a place to conquer, but rather to explore and conduct research in. At the time, only government-formed agencies conducted space flights, but it was written within this treaty that any group could conduct space exploration. But it wasn't until after the end of the Cold War when such groups as commercialized space industries began to arise. With the end of the Cold War leads us to a more contemporary state of space exploration. It's been no secret of the rise of commercial space industries, with SpaceX, Boeing, and Blue Origin leading the charge. According to Chris Impey, an astronomer and publisher of hundreds of space articles, NASA in 2022 formed a total of 186 missions, with SpaceX launching 61 of these missions, which brings up a pretty interesting point. Many of the missions formed by NASA are not launched by NASA. In fact, NASA used to send their astronauts up on Russian rockets, but have switched to these commercialized space industries due to being cheaper and more local. According to Raymond Skiba, an astrophysicist turned science journalist, NASA was the largest funder of the Russian space program. But with NASA backing out and the effects of the Russo-Ukrainian war, it's become clear that the Russian space program has become non-existent, which begs the question. If Russia was the largest competitor to the United States when it came to space exploration, will there be a country that takes Russia's place? The answer is yes, and it lies with China. According to Mike Wall, a senior military space journalist, China has been vastly expanding their presence within space and has set up what is known as a kill web. A kill web is a network of intelligence and warfare that spans all domains, including water, land, sky, and space. They've also set up multiple anti-space weaponry and desire to be the largest presence within space. But, above all, they desire to expand farther and deeper into space than ever before, as is NASA. This leads us to the present day and what's to come of space exploration. NASA has recently announced their upcoming plans for space exploration, called Artemis. According to NASA, the main mission of the Artemis program is to send mankind to Mars. In order to do so, they first desire to re-land on the moon and set up what they call Gateway. Gateway will act as a lunar base for both research and a checkpoint in order to reach Mars. And along with many new scientific advancements, such as the first robot that can pollinate without human intervention, a new set of space laws has come about from this program. The Artemis Accords are a set of more descriptive laws of space now that we as a society are fully aware of how far a breach of space can actually extend. The main ideas that they now wish to solidify with these accords is for transparency, emergency assistance, registration of outer space objects, and the release of scientific data. And just to demonstrate how quickly space politics has been evolving, in September of last year, a total of 43 countries had signed on to these accords. But as of today, there are now a total of 55 countries, including the United States, United Kingdom, and India. China has also recently announced their upcoming plans for space exploration, called the ILRS, or the International Lunar Research Station. Again, in September of last year, a total of 10 countries had signed on to these accords, but as of today, there are now a total of 17, including China and Russia. Their first mission is to land on the moon and set up a lunar base on the dark side of it, which would be opposite to that of Gateway. They also desire for the privacy of all outer space research and exploration, and, above all, their main mission is to send mankind to Mars. Now, that's interesting, because that sounds fairly similar to Artemis. In fact, Artemis was announced in 2020, while the ILRS was announced in 2021. It's almost as if the ILRS was a direct counter to Artemis. Now, I don't want to make any accusations, but China has been known from time to time to do what they feel is best without any regard for others involved. Because of this, they've been deemed as shady or out for their own gain at any cost. Some even go as to say that they are full-blown communists. Now, I'm not saying they're going to drop a bunch of gas on us, that makes us all communists, like was believed with the Russians during the Cold War, but they're a lot more vague on their true intentions for space exploration. And this surprisingly parallels that of the original space race, in which the United States was racing against the clock to make the next advancement in the exploration of space against an unknown threat. And on the political end, the tensions between China and the United States somewhat parallel those same tensions between Russia and the United States during the Cold War. But taking a step back, a bigger question can arise from all of this. How far will this race extend? Because this race may stay a race, but it could blossom into something much greater. The reverse of the original could happen, where a Cold War sprouts from it. Or if enough countries get involved, even a World War III could break loose. But no matter how far it extends, another space race is on the horizon. Are you on the winning side?